I think we go out with food for another 15 minutes, so hang in there. I want to bring up Raimi Growing Thunder. She's going to do she's going to do a little, not a presentation, but she's going to speak. And so I'll let her have the stage here. And how about a big round of applause for Raimi? Yay! Woo! I heard her big old earrings, hey?
Hamidakapi, Yamaha Chanko, Idemia, Washitu Chajapiki Raimi, Growing Thunder. Eskarska Tiosh by Emataha, Naku, Wakchincha Wakpa, Edwati, Adewaye Thomas Garska, Senior, Ina Waye, Shema, Esther, Eskarsiga, Mihiganaku Wambadi, Nupa, Naku, Daryl Growing Thunder, Chingshi Yamani, Baduha, Ia Pejuta, Wambadi Toka, Hea Cheta Wakantia. Hello, my relatives. My name is Raimi Growing Thunder. I'm known as Owl Shell Woman. I'm from Fort Peck. Today I bring with me, I said that I come from the Eskarska family and that my husband's Daryl Growing Thunder, and together we have 3 sons. And today I want to introduce some of my co-workers here. Ethan 3 Stars, he's one of our pride and joys that we have from Fort Peck. He's been with our program for 5 years, and I heard a lot of discussion here about including the youth, whatever we do. So I've always made it a point, and I encourage all of you, when you go somewhere, bring a young one, bring a youth, because that's the way they're going to learn. And I know that he's nervous right now, but 5 years ago, he started, and in the next week, he's going to be tested to be one of our Class 7 instructor researchers. He's our first one for our program, so it took us 5 years in Fort Peck to work with him summer, year after year, and putting him out here in front of the people to be able to stand up and to hold his head high. So I'm going to let both of them introduce themselves, and then we'll get on to the PowerPoint that I brought today.
Amidakapi Matola Wiga, or Dakota Charjapiki, Matola Wiga, Washichi Charjapiki, Ethan 3 Stars. Ochticha Wakwa, Edwatiero, Wanade, Wanietu, Kesha Gurova, the Damanhawaji, Yohana Beki to use up Piero. Hello, my name is Ethan 3 Stars. My Dakota name is Turning Bear. I'm from Poplar, I'm 18, and from where I stand, I shake all your hands.
Midaki Yapi, April Nation, Imaki Yapi, Machaka SLC.
My name is April Nation. I'm from Poplar River. I'm the admin assistant for the Language and Culture Program under the Fort Peck Reservation. And I'm glad to be here.
Okay, he's going to pull up the PowerPoint that we have here. What I tried to do was to condense a little bit of what we're doing. This will cover I think that we have the wrong jump drive, but let's see. Okay, so our program, we have 5 full-time staff members that work with us. I'm the director of the program. What happened was, I'll just go ahead and share a little bit there. In 2011, in 2009, I moved away from Fort Peck down to Albuquerque. And I had to do a lot of planning, and so I lived down in Albuquerque for 6 months to establish residency in New Mexico. And that saved me $8,000 a semester into the graduate program. And so I planned it that way, and I began in '09, and I graduated in 2011 with the Master's in Language Literacy and Sociocultural Studies. My emphasis was American Indian education. And so from there, my last semester, I was hired to be a project assistant for the American Indian Research Language Center. So what we did was we hosted huge language summits like this with people from all over the world, Hawaii, New Zealand, in the Southwest. And a lot of our stronger models were from the Diné, my people down there, and from the Pueblo, the 19 different Pueblos. So I got some really good experience. So I graduated in 2011, moved home. I worked for the college for 1 semester. In fact, the program that we have going this summer is our 5th summer. At the time, I was collaborating with Fort Peck Community College. Today, we're solely on our own. It's a part of the Montana Indian Language Preservation Program, as well as a First Nation Language and Culture grant. And I write other grants to help us, to extend our resources a little bit further. And so it's our 5th year. That time we started, I was one of the lucky ones that was able to go through school, learn. My whole department was all Native, so that was really nice. I felt really fortunate. When I moved home, I worked this program summer, and then the tribal council for my tribe asked me to come be a consultant. So I went and consulted, and it took me 12 weeks to lay out an entire language and culture department. So I was done. It got ratified November 30th, 2012. And so we began planning for our open house, which we had in May. Some of you have came. Senator Windyboy was one of our supporters there. We made it, and what happened was I got appointed the director. And so from then, I've been going really strong. I've heard here earlier, it's been a good learning experience, but I've also had some really difficult obstacles that I had to overcome, mainly with tribal politics. And I say that because I think it's up to us to help them understand the importance of language preservation work and what that entails. It doesn't mean going to an event like this and listening for an hour or two just to show face. It means, supporting those ones that have these efforts throughout the year and doing what we can to help them. So my biggest thing, looking at all of that and taking it as a learning experience, is I've just focused on the youth, like Ethan. Promote them, bring them, encourage them, plant those seeds. You're going to be the director one day. You're working with me. I'm learning right along with you. And so that's what made me who I am. So my language, my first language, my mother, she's Diné. That's all I knew until I went to Head Start, and then my father raised me in ceremony. So I'm just going to share about that much, but I'm going to get into our PowerPoint here. This is our program, the Language and Culture Department. If you notice, we have Dakota and Tatanka Oyate. I try to encourage people to take their identity back, claim it, write it. One of the things from our Fort Peck Summit that we had in March, one of the elders, and I really rely on the elders to critique me, because it helps me. They see things that I don't realize as we're going along. So one of the things they recommended was, when you have these events, I seen it in the newspaper, it said the language summit. We want you to put Dakota Omanichie, the Dakota gathering. So that really struck me, and so I just want to share that. This is our program where we have our language evening classes here, as well as where all our staff offices are. This is, we have a guiding mission and vision statement. One of the things I realized when I was away at school and then I returned home was there's a gap, or they call it a dichotomy in academia. There's a difference between, or some people will say you live in two worlds. You have your feet in two worlds. Well, not technically physically, but I think spiritually we do. So with that being said, I made it a point to promote our vision, which is grounded in our cultural ways of knowing. So it's kind of lengthy, but I think it's really important to have all of it. Just to kind of summarize it, it's talking about our creation story from P'tay Salmi, White Buffalo Calf Woman, and her teachings that come. And so I've also included the traditional rites of our Nakota people, because we just have a slight difference. So we're one of the reservations where we have to do both. So everything we do, it's twice as much work. And it has been really successful. It took a lot of explaining and helping people to understand that, if you let the ones that, have that experience to lead, then let them lead. So with that being said, we don't have as much difficulty. When we promote the Nakota, we promote the Dakota, so you'll see that in everything that we have. And then our mission statement is kind of more for what we would write when we go after grants. This is the kind of terminology that they're looking for. How are you going to prove and showcase what it is that you have within your program? Picture of our staff here. This was a fun picture that we did. We actually competed in the Fathead Film Festival. And of course I shared a little bit, and I won't focus too much on the negativity, but one of our council people are posers, unfortunately. She was calling us celebrities because of this picture, but I just think it's really fun. Oh, this was with Margaret. She came to see us. When was that, about a month ago? It's another picture we took with her. Who we are. So, this same presentation, I've made it to where I could take it into the school systems and share it with our youth and our children. Because if I'm trying to explain something and they're not getting it, then I'm defeating my whole purpose in life, which is to help them and mold them. So we break it down into our two different people. And you'll notice on the top, we are the Nakona Nakota, the Wadopna, Udeshana, Iatuambi, and Shahia Iaskabi. These are the people that are on our reservation now, and the speakers that work. And so we have two, and this is the trick, two different distinct people, but all these bands exist, and they do say it a little bit differently when they teach the language. We are the Dakota, or the Ihanktuana, the Sisituan, Wahpetuan, and the Hunkpapa. So the Hunkpapa are the Al dialect speakers. We have our Ihanktuana. I don't know if you've heard about the 7 council fires of the Sioux people. We are the middle bands of the 7 council fires. And so I bring that history back up for them to realize that. Here we go, the Ocheti Shakoli. Can you guys hear me still? Okay. The 7 council fires, and so you'll notice, there's the main 7, the Dakota, Lakota, Nakota speakers, and we're part of them, so I always acknowledge them as well. We promote kinship first and foremost. Just to summarize it, when we meet people, you make that connection with your relative first. Even if you don't say anything, it's always that handshake because your spirits connect. We promote our tribal family values. This is our 7 sacred rites of P'tay Salmi. This picture that you see here, we've had some really tremendous tragedies in our communities. So we're looking at ways to combat that. And one of the ways was a community walk. We've had actually 3 of them now. And at the beginning of the walk, when I was working with the lady that planned it, she actually named the walk in the language. And when the walk began, she asked that we had all these the language first. So we had a trailer and we put a youth drum group, they sang, and we walked right behind them with these signs in the language. And what we were doing was in this time, this tragic time, we were utilizing our language and culture to help ourselves heal. So this is only one sign, but what's happening now, our people are borrowing that sign. So I'm thinking what we need to do is probably make it a poster and get it out there, even more in the tribal programs, within the classrooms in the different schools. And it's talking about White Buffalo Calf Woman and the 7 sacred rites that she brought to our people. And it's, you see these things like this, it's nice to read it, but I think it has more meaning, when you put song behind it, because I've been taught that when you sing, you send faster up to Creator. And so we do a lot of singing and teaching our youth and the people about songs as well. We have our traditional rites of Nakota. This slideshow was created. I sat down with Dr. Ken Ryan and a couple of our other advisory board members, and we created this because I wanted a close to accurate presentation when I would speak about this. This was our open house, 2013. This was our summer program back, I think, 3 years ago. Dakota, here's our Nakota. This is just some of the traditional games that we had. Tipsna digging with our students. This is one of our collaborations where we bring both of the students in both languages together. I'm really big on that, collaborating people and bringing them together in the same area to learn. One of our bulletin boards that our students put together, Nakomi Chogagi, talking about the cultural ways and the directions. This here is a real fun and easy activity. All it is a beach ball. We were working on phrases. We wrote the phrases on there with a permanent marker, and they were throwing it up. And it was to get them out of the classroom, but also to engage them as well. So they thought they were playing, but what was happening when they caught the ball, on their left thumb, there was a phrase on there. They had to enunciate it, and then the person straight across from them had to answer them. So they began conversing like that. TP setup and the teachings that go with it. Genealogy research, collaborating with Fort Peck Community College. This is just one of the drawings. I like this because the young girl at the time, I think she was 5 years old, her grandmother was raising her. Her grandmother has since left, but this was a really happy time in her life, and I think it's a good reflection on the way she's seeing me as a mentor, because that year I was actually teaching the classes, and I always wore, like in Sundancer ceremony, a skirt, and I didn't realize it until I seen this. She drew herself just like me, so that told me that I was actually that mentor that she needed in her life at the time. But I don't think that my glasses were that big. Here we are picking a wee bazooka. So that's one of our oldest students there. We have a lot of elders and older people that come. I think you have to set the stage, and it's important to be really welcoming and friendly. That has a lot, because I've come across some teachers that I want to talk to them, but I'm kind of like, whoa. And so that taught me a lesson too, to be more friendly and to be more open and welcoming to everyone. This is one of the teepee rings. In the days we went out to pick medicine, I don't know if you can see it from there, but all the echinacea, the black root, we teach them how to pick that and handle it and what to do with it. This is one of our sacred sites. It's a buffalo rock. It was not documented until I think OPI did a curriculum on it like 2 years ago, and I was really surprised because the elders of this community did not want this to be written, but I got the permission to utilize it and share this buffalo. He's actually looking to the west, and he's grazing in above. It's a former buffalo jump. This is our pouting woman rock. This is really a good one where we talk to the students about pouting, and you pout, you're going to turn into a rock. Idle rock. This one is a rock way on top of the hill. This day here was really memorable because every year I always have a child that's autistic, and I thought the hill was too steep for her to walk up, but she actually made it up to the top, no problem. And then when all the students got up there and the instructors, she wanted to pray, and that really was, a good thing, because I didn't really think she was listening to me, but she was. So she led the prayer that day. our buffalo ranch, our Tatanka Oyate, the Pte, the female buffalo in Tatanka, and I've also heard Wote Jaga from our elders on our Nakota side. We take them out there, and we actually have 2 herds, so we go see both sites, and we collect buffalo hair, and we make arts and craft out of that hair as well. One of the things I want to do that we haven't is to bring somebody in that knows how to weave the buffalo hair and to make little like scarves or whatever we can with the buffalo hair to bring that art back as well. And for the young boys to learn how to braid the buffalo hair to make a bow and arrow. Just a picture of them on the bus. This was a traditional buffalo harvest we did with them last summer. So you see them, they're praying and we're taking care of our relative. Tripe cleaning. That's one of our Purple Heart veterans we brought healing to that day. Our young students teaching, we let them have the power in the classroom. We just help them to get to that point. So she's teaching the class, I believe, numbers that day. We partner with the National Park Service, Fort Union. He comes in and we go there. It's kind of an exchange. This is a young men's group that come in and they work with our students as well. They were teaching songs that day they came in. Just our logo, it's actually a spiritual design. Your teepee here on earth, the stars that connect us, our relatives tell us we go to the spirit world through the Big Dipper, the Milky Way into the Big Dipper in the middle, and then that's the other side would be your teepee on the happy hunting grounds. This is we always celebrate whenever we can for them. Our language classes that we have every Wednesday in Poplar and Wolf Point. Picture we took at I think our final meeting for the very first pilot project. This is that walk I was talking about. We named it Yahomini Tokashni, be under your own influence. In other words, don't follow anybody. You're responsible for yourself. One of the maps that was created by our Nakota instructor researcher, Ron Moccasin, he named all of our districts in Nakota, and so I'm going to follow his lead and do this in Dakota as well. This was a partnership that we did with MSU Bozeman. In the schools, we were talking about the culture and the environment to the youth, and I always try to partner with different people because then that takes the load off of us and we're able to collaborate together as one. This is our language application. One of our deliverables now, it should be out within the next couple weeks. If you're interested, FortPeckLanguagePreservation.com. We have a lot of our deliverables and some of our work that we are creating and we have created up to this point. It's on there. Those are just our services that we have within our program. Lots of partnerships. Every reservation school's on there. This is our Nakota language class in the Wolf Point High School. So what we do is we not only have our MILP project, our First Nations grant, but we partner with the public schools. And so what's happening is they don't have Class 7 instructors, but we are, so we go in there to teach every day, and they compensate our program. So you could set that up as well. That's how we do one part of it in Fort Peck. This was our students that went to Minnesota. We competed in the Dakota Language Bowl. It was our second year. Last year we brought home 4th place. This year they went up a place to 3rd. And I want to say that it was really exciting for them. Ethan was our captain this year. His last year, he graduated high school now. So one of the things they let us do was let him compete on the high school team and the college team. So now, you know, when they came home, we celebrated with them. But we were the only Montana team there again this year. And so since we went that far, we had the high school team, we had the college team, and our staff. I said, we come this far, we might as well throw a team together, get in there. So we ended up in championship round, and we got beat by the Lakotas. by 7 points, so it was exciting. This here was out of the, I believe, no, this is our committees talking about our Class 7 resolution that we have within our tribe. This next one here is our resolution that we created from the language summit that we had in March. We heard a lot of complaints about different foreign languages being in our schools. We had Spanish. So what we did with this was we put a stop to that. And through our program, we drafted up this resolution and we mandated only Dakota and Nakota in all of our 8 reservation schools to be taught. So, you know, this made a lot of parents happy. It makes me happy because my son was in Spanish and I never heard the end of it. Buffalo usages chart. We're promoting our Buffalo culture and our Buffalo knowledge. So what we did was we had this translated all in Dakota, and this is partnered with the Intertribal Buffalo Council out of Rapid City. Here's our Nakota one. And so we submitted a picture of one of our female buffaloes and the baby in the middle, and then our logo up on the top. Go to the next one. So this is what happened. They agreed to help us. We did it, and from that, we challenged the Lakotas, and so they developed theirs after we got ours going. And their goal now, ITBC, is to get every tribe that's a part of the Intertribal Buffalo Council to do one of these in their language. So we've kickstarted that now. Creators Game Youth Camp Out this summer. These are all of our riders. We actually co-op with Fort Belknap here. They rode from here all the way to Fort Peck. We had a youth celebration that night for them. We're opening up a lacrosse chapter in Fort Peck. We're starting to get that out there. This was a teepee that the youth did with Jackie Bird. They did a really excellent job on that. And you'll see the one behind there, that was our teepee from last year. So every event we have in a community, you'll see these pitched up, because what we're doing is we're promoting our youth and the work that they did. I'm coming to the end here. So value the language, value the culture, value our Wakayaja, our sacred little ones. I try to promote the importance of language in my artwork as well. So this one here, the men are protectors and our providers. Our women are nurturers and our gatherers. With that, I just want to say Pinamaya, Pidamaya. Are there any questions?
Please welcome this Tatanka woman to Fort Belknap. Round of applause, Miss Birdie Reelberg.
After that introduction, I don't know if I can, I'm getting tongue-tied already. Ikshikinawaben, Amalosh, Koyevi, Malay Khag, Malay Khaki, Agi Khag, Binu, I just said that we're all here for one reason, it's to preserve our language, revitalize our language, and we're all in the same boat, I guess. And we all need to help each other. And I know that every program across Montana, all the Indian language preservation programs are sometimes at a point where you're stuck. And I feel that I'm that way right now because listening to my brother Lanny this morning was like, okay, I've got too much work to do, and I was overwhelmed while he was talking about all these language issues. But in my program, I'm the director for Montana Indian Language Preservation Program, and I have a coordinator, Diana Wilson, who's not here, and her and I have an office at the tribal building. We face a lot of issues where our tribal members are against, trying to preserve this language. I mean, when we talk about language, there's really no support, and we face that every day. Or if we do something, they're always correcting us. That's not how you say it, this is how you say it. And so we're faced, I think every program here is faced with that same problem. But our community in Crow Agency, just like your community, has a meth problem. We have casino addicts. We've got painkiller addicts. We've got, and all these problems that we have. And sometimes I feel like I'm trying to save the language when there's all these other problems also. But I think if we save the language or revitalize it, I think these other problems, it would help these other problems. Oh, suicide is kind of high too. Teen pregnancy is high, and all this. And so there's over 13,000 enrolled Crow members and 28% fluent speakers. So that means there's about 4,000 of us. Fluent speakers, we've got 50% who understand the Crow language, but they're not talking back in Crow. We've got 32% that are very unfamiliar with the language. They don't even understand it. So I'm working with those. The younger generation are no longer speaking the language, and they see it as a foreign language. So that means that anybody under 30, 35 years old are all English speakers. And so if we're trying to come back and revitalize our language, it would have to be their second language. Your language, my language are endangered. It's an endangered language. And today it's at a rapid rate of disappearing. Every day there's probably languages disappearing. And our language loss is so great that even if people in your community realize that it is a language loss, they're still not doing a thing about it. Like if you go talk to some, in Crow Agency, in every household on the reservation, there's 1 or 2 fluent speakers there. And you go talk to them, and they say, I know, we're losing the language, huh? But, you should do this and you should do that, and they want other people to do it. They don't take the stand and say, I'm going to start talking Crow to my grandkids, or I'm going to start talking Crow to my children. Instead, they want someone else to do it. And you know who they want to take care of the language is the schools. They want, as if the schools don't have enough to do. Do you think that the school can revitalize and save the language? What do you guys think? No, schools are not going to save your language because it can't stand alone, and you can't teach all these children the language, send them home, and then they speak English again. And so there's I think with the community, with the children, the grandparents, and the whole community, if they start talking the language with the help of the school, then something probably will, happen towards the revitalizing the language. But my program, I feel like, I know Margaret's not really listening to me, so I'm going to say this. My program, it seems like I'm wasting my money. And I don't know if any of your other programs, what do you think? Do you think you're you know something's happening with your language? See, and he said kind of under his breath, he's saying no. Okay, so, how are we going to be effective in this revitalizing our language? And that's what I'm looking at right now. Last summer, we had a language camp, and our little kids, we had 30 of them, ages 10 to 17. 30 children, and did we get them to talk the language? We just had a lot of fun. We went out in the hills and we camped for 1 week, and we ate good. We had nice showers. We had the best cooks. We hired this caterer from out of Billings, and they came and did a wonderful job. And okay, so did any of those children learn the language? No. Okay, and I know my brother came every day and was practicing the language with them, but, and I'm not saying anything about him, but my program is just not effective. And I'm trying to find ways of being effective. And then we developed an app last year. So we have the Crow language app on you can get it on your phones, on your iPads, so that's there. Okay, so now people are kind of forgetting about that. At first when it came out, everybody was all excited about it. And then now, it's kind of like, hey, oh yeah, there's an app, there's a Crow app. One of my friends was saying that the other day, and I was like, yeah, you know, and has anyone been using it? I don't know. So now I'm reevaluating my program, and I would like to go towards schools. So right now we have a memorandum of agreement with the Crow Agency Public School. I have put a proposal in front of the principal. He's going to work with us. We've selected 150 phrases, and within that 180 school days, we're going to learn those phrases, everybody. And we've got 6 teams in that school that we've come up with. Team number 1 is teachers. Team 2 are the janitors, the cooks, the nurses, the librarians. That's team number 2. Team number 3 is the principal with some of his administration. And then team number 4 is parents outside. And we're going to develop this curriculum. And this linguist coming out of Washington, D.C., he received his linguistics degree from Georgetown University. He's coming on August 1st. We're developing this curriculum. It's going to be homemade, it's not commercial, and it's not going to be in a box. And it's not going to get dusty. So we're going to pilot this curriculum in Crow Agency Public School for this school year 2016 and 17. And in that time of 180 days, everybody in that whole school, teachers' aides, teachers, janitors, everybody's going to be learning these phrases. And then we have 15 fluent speakers in that school. And in that school, we're utilizing those fluent speakers, and they're going to help with the children learning the language. So that's a pilot program where we'd like to start. If that works, next year we're adding 2 more schools. So we'll add Viola School and St. Lambray, one of the St. Lambray schools, maybe Pretty Eagle or St. Charles. So hopefully this is more effective than what we've been doing with our program. And another thing that we're going to do, this summer we were supposed to have a language camp. And in place of the language camp, we're getting language warriors. And these are people who understand the language but are not speaking. We're going to take 30 of those people, or we're going to select 30 people and work with those 30, and they're going to help with it at the Crow School also. So this is going to be a team effort. We're trying to get people involved in this revitalizing the Crow language. I think that, okay, here's another problem that we had. We had this challenge. It's a Crow Youth Language Ownership Video Contest. It's for 18 years and under. And we had a deadline of May 15th or something like that. So nobody entered. It's just 1 to 3 minute video showing yourself talking in Crow. It should be carefully planned and thought out, and we haven't had any participants. So then we moved it to July 22nd. And that's coming up, when is that? On Thursday. And we still don't have any participants for this because we don't have any 18 and under fluent speakers. And nobody's working at trying to, put something together for 1 to 3 minutes in Crow. And so I think we might have to extend this further again and maybe into the school year. So I think working with language is not easy because, there were 300 plus indigenous languages in the United States. And now there's 175 languages that are still being spoken. And out of these, only 20 are still being acquired as a first language by children. And then I think one of mine is not even one of the 20. The Crow language isn't one of the 20. It's not a first language anymore. So now we're working with the next generation where it's the second language acquisition now. And so as I'm working with language, I've been working with it for about 3 years now. And all I've been doing is trying to figure out how to increase the fluency. And in those 3 years, I do a lot of research. I read a lot about language. And it's not an easy thing. And I found that even myself, I'm fluent, but I don't even talk Crow to my son. And I don't even talk Crow to my grandchildren. See how that is? Because if I talk Crow to them, things go a lot slower because they really don't understand what I'm saying, and I have to keep saying it over and over again. And then after a while, it's like, oh, well, okay, I'm in a hurry. We got to do this, and we got to get here, and we got to, So then I'm going like, okay, hurry up. And in Crow, I say, this is how you say hurry up. Dikkamissa. So then my little grandson one day goes, Kala dikkamissa. That means hurry up, Grandma. And he learned that because I just keep saying it over and over. And that's how you acquire a language, guys. Oh, excuse me. That's how you if you hear it over and over. But we've lost our patience. Our world is, too fast-paced for us to slow down and say, okay, this is how we're going to say it. And you listen. And kids aren't listening anymore either. And so at the Crow School, we're going to emphasize listening. And we're going to emphasize a lot of things in that 9 months of school. But then they're going to leave for 3 months. That's about 12, 15 weeks. And they're going to lose it. So then we're going to, during that 15 weeks of vacation, summer vacation, we're going to have to give something to the community or have the community help us. And another thing that we did in my program was strategic planning. And I was just telling Margaret, I think it's a waste of time. But we need to go over it again and figure out. But in that strategic planning, it said that this is what the community needs. And it said that, okay, when there's a gathering, the MC needs to talk more Crow. Crow only. Crow language only MCers. And I think that happens in Crow Agency. There's a lot of MCs who are fluent speakers and they're always talking Crow. So we knew that. And then when you're talking, here's another thing the Crows do. They always say, excuse me, but I'm sorry, but I'm going to talk Crow. You know, I'm going to talk in my native language. And why do we apologize for speaking in our languages too? And so in that strategic planning, there's something about not apologizing to speak your language. And so that's there. Another thing that it says is more cultural activities and more Crow language in those activities. And so we have this big hand game tournament in around April and May. I was at the hand game tournament, and this year, for some reason, there was more English being spoken, and none of the MCs were speaking Crow at all. And so I think that was a sign, and I went up there and I said, you guys should talk Crow more. And they didn't even listen to me. I mean, but I only went up there once and I told the MC, I said, you should talk Crow more. And I was talking Crow to him and he says, yeah, we'll try to do that. And then they forgot all about the language. So our communities are losing, you know, they're not conscious of the language loss either. Everybody knows we're losing the language, but they're not very concerned about it. And so even myself, working with the program, I get a little bit, you know, I try to stress the language so here and there, and I'm not as effective as I'd like to be. So, and I think there's more things to do, and every time I sit back, or I go back, I reevaluate, come back out, and I'm going back and forth, and I think that helps me in the program to reevaluate and go on. So, anything else? We've got I think that's about it. So, it's a challenging work, or the work is challenging for me, even though I'm fluent, and then there's a question in our community every time, and it's like, they're saying, who should teach the language? You know, and they're always saying that to me. And so I'm like going, okay, I had language nights last winter, and everybody was talking about, even though I've been a teacher for 31 years, I'm retired in 2009 from teaching, and I feel like I can teach. I'm a teacher, I have a teaching degree, but yet people were questioning me when I was teaching the language. Should you be teaching the language? Are you a language teacher? You know, where'd you get your curriculum? Where'd you get your materials? And I said, actually, I wasn't really teaching the language. We just had language nights. People came, and I just let them hear the language. And we posted questions on like, where did you come from? What's your name? Who are your parents? those kinds of things we posted all over the room, and in English, and they go there and they'd say, Dalasakyo. And then another person, they were in partners, and they just said, Malasha, and then they'd say their name. And so, was that really teaching the language? And then they were criticizing me, how do you know the Crow language? And I said, well, actually, we weren't writing it and reading it. We're just letting them, I was just letting them listen to it. And I was like almost apologizing to these critics, you know? And then I kind of lost my confidence in, you know, as a fluent speaker. And a couple people called me and said, you said that wrong. Because we were on YouTube, you know, and it went all over. And they said, you were pronouncing that word wrong. And I'm like going, which word was that? You know, and so then in your community, you probably have all those critics too about language. And I think that language is just a really touchy subject. And I'm just sharing with you some of the things that, you know, I went through as a director, as trying to encourage people on, you know, to speak Crow, and trying to, well, I'm not going to say I taught the language, you know, sharing the language with other people, that's what I was doing. And so, somebody needs to tell me who can teach the language. I was just talking to Rainey from Fort Peck, and she said, we have 35 Dakota speakers and 25 Nakota, or something like that. And she said, out of those people who are fluent, I can't get them to teach other people how to speak. And they're scared. They don't want to do it. They don't want to. And so I think in most communities, we have that also. And even though I was a teacher for 31 years, I was feeling a little, you know, like crawling under the rock or whatever with my language. So it takes quite a bit of, you know, confidence. And I noticed that in studies, it showed that if an immersion student excels over a non-immersion student, and then these students who are speaking their native language and English, they have more self-confidence and their self-esteem is higher. And look at all those studies that indicate that speaking two languages is, you know, positive. I mean, it doesn't interfere in their curriculum or academic development. And so we should all go for it. But parents or people in the community, we have to work with them a little bit more. That's what I'd like to do too, is work with the community more, so that we're never going to get rid of the critics, but you know, we might get some people who are towards, you know, working with the language. And that's all I have to say. Thanks.